Hey everyone, how's it going?
Good man, how you doing?
I cannot complain. Actually, I could, but I would choose not to.
Why is that?
I wish the market would actually try to go somewhere, but everybody's too afraid of this, that, and the other. So, but it's all good. How's y'all's days going today?
Pretty good, man. I haven't been able to come here as much as I would like to because of class, but I did want to talk about I had a question about the pullbacks. So you said I needed a rule for what I would consider a pullback because not every candle that pulls back into a POI. Um, well, you suggested that I shouldn't be looking at every single candle that pulls back into a POI to, take it into consideration for entry.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's what you were saying, at least.
So, not every candle you should treat as a pullback. Uh, Hold on 1 second. Try to see if I can get you an example. Let me go to my clean chart. So everything has a context and a everything has a context and everything has a usage. 1 second, let me get rid of all this. Okay. So forget all the concepts. Don't worry about that for right now. I'm just going to draw a random zone here, right? And so look at this bullish candle right here, right? You have this bullish candle, that's one candle. Then you have this bearish candle, looked like it was coming out of the POI, but it didn't. And then you have this bullish candle here. Is that enough for it to be considered a pullback? Depends, right? You would have tried to probably take a sell trade off of this, given that we're tapping into the supply zone, right?
Probably, yeah.
And you would have immediately taken a loss.
Mm-hmm.
This was not a pullback. This was a momentary pause in the movement. Whereas, let me find something that's clean real quick. Give me 1 second. Here we go. We take this supply zone, for instance, right here, right? Price made consecutive candles going into the supply zone. If you were likely to have taken a short somewhere down here on a lower time frame, this would be the example of what I would call a valid pullback into a trade, and you could have easily made a really profiting trade off of this, right?
Yeah. So does it? So you take into consideration the candles before tapping in as well?
Correct. Because not every candle, sometimes a candle shows a momentary positive momentum. Sometimes it shows, for instance, that the market is actually pulling back, and you have to differentiate the difference between the two because you want to find the right reaction, right? Let's say, for instance, let's see another example what to use. All right. We'll say, for instance, you found some zone like right here, right?
Mhm.
And you also have it in your rules that when you see a pullback, you're going to close your trade. So this is your trade that you're in. Well, you get this candle here, right? And you think, oh, this could be a pullback, so you close the trade. Then you watch the market continue to go down. And so what would have closed here at 9.5 R, you could have held to over 21 R because this wasn't a pullback. This was just a momentary pause. And so part of it is looking at the market and deciding specifically what is it a pullback to you because everybody's definition is different, and then being able to see that it is a consistent thing that you're going to see time and time again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I'm getting it. So what happens if you have, for example, a break of structure, um, and then right away, price, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be a pullback then. Because if sometimes it'll break structure and then it'll reverse right into your demand or your supply, right? Like sometimes,
Um,
I would maybe consider it a weak break.
Let me find. I'm trying to find one specifically that doesn't really fit mine that I see constantly. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to. Wait. Gold is hitting new all-time highs. Sorry. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I've seen it on the input recently. Oh, check EU. Click on EU. So, like here, right? You break structure here, and we'll say that you classify this as some type of demand. That's what I want to use. Sorry. I'm trying to find a certain one. I'm sorry. It's a common thing I see on charts a lot of times, but for some reason I cannot find it.
And then when you look for it, you can't find any.
Right. Is it?
That looks like a decent one there at on the 30th, I think.
Yeah.
Go up another day or so, not or like a half a day. Yeah,
Right here.
maybe to that high up there.
Right here.
Yeah, and then the pullback right away.
That's what I consider a valid pullback. Trying to find this one that happens commonly
Okay.
that I'll see on y'all's chart sometimes. And I've seen it get some people some days and other days it doesn't. So I'm not seeing. Here it is. Here it is. All right. All right. This one makes this break here, right? So we've had some type of structural break. And then y'all will pull. Turn up my things. Y'all pull this notification here. Pull this zone here and consider something like this the pullback, and then y'all take it, and sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. In this case, it did, right? But in other cases, this is not really a valid pullback. The whole momentum was just a positive momentum. So this is bullish momentum here, and then it continues on upwards. Something you can try is looking for more than one candle. That's what I tend to find that works best. And that's what's a portion of my pullback rules. They're kind of tied to some other concepts that I also use, but it's a good starting point because usually when you have more than one candle, that makes a move. It also shows continued intention, whereas you see candles like a one candle pull, one what people call one candle pullback. It tends to fake out more people. It was something that Rob and I would test about 2 years ago because I shared with him my rule that I had on this, and we found a better way to kind of improve it together. But it was something. Starting point was at least using two candles, so that whenever you make a valid pullback, you know that it's like it has to be at least two candles. Um, the one candles tend to like fake out people. So, like for instance, here might be considered a valid pullback because it makes a two candle pull move. Whereas something like this, right? You take this zone, this was just a momentary pause of momentum, and price continues to goes on where it's going. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So,
Yeah, I find it a lot easier to get into trades where there's space in between the breaks and like there's like some space in between after the structure breaks, and there's some time before a price pulls back. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep, yep. It makes a big difference. So you want to hopefully have where it has shows momentum going upward. Like when it makes breaks like this, and then immediately, you're kind of stuck there, and then price goes down and up. That's more or less not really movement going in one direction. That's more sideways movement. And that's where you're likely to take a lot of losses anyways, because you're not getting on true like impulsive movement in the market. Like if it didn't have enough energy and it kept going sideways, then that's a sign to you that there's something up. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool, cool. But yeah, now I would back test to just make sure to understand more or less what it actually is a pullback and pullback to according to your rules, because then that will help you on times where you get faked out. Because it'll commonly happen when you don't have a rule. You can't just treat every tap, just like every chalk and every BOS is not, a sign of market change or momentum in the market. It's the same thing with a pullback. Not every tap into a POI is something that you should be using to justify, all right, this is a pullback into my supply and demand zone, so I know that market's going to move up from here. So
Got it. I'll definitely work on that.
cool. What other questions do y'all guys have? Y'all quiet today.
Hey, what's up, B? You take any trades today?
What's up, P Money? Absolutely not. There
Mm.
was nothing for me to find. I looked at the day this morning and I went right back to sleep.
Oh wow! I hit on gold.
Oh, good stuff. You want to share your screen? Talk about your trade?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Mm. So thought process. This agent session had a bomb trade yesterday. This is like agent session yesterday. I missed it though when the Trader Joe's. But because I trade
damn.
I trade agent session now as well.
Oh, you said you trade Asian session now?
Yeah, like agent session goes for about like 2 out of 5 days. Like agent session will give you like, man, some nice trades.
Yeah, it
So,
occasionally does.
so this is my thought process. I'm thinking we're going to sell today. So went to the 15-minute. What time I wake up? Still sleep. Okay, I'm about up right here. When I see stuff like this, I know Rob said this is like a liquidity, trend line liquidity. So before I knew supply and demand, I used to like try to trade this and try to like buy. But now it's like this type of stuff, I'm getting ready for a sale. So this is a POI right here. I got, and I just seen this trend line liquidity. I'm like, okay, yeah, we about to take out this low. So when I wake up in the morning now, my first trade, I do not go on a 1 minute time frame. It messes me up more times than it hasn't, than it has not, than it has helped me. So I go on a 3 minute, the 3 and a 5 minute now. The 1 minute I use it for like I'll use it after I take a trade because I know market trends to trade. If the market is going in my direction, the 1 minute usually helps me get like a second entry, a nice second entry. So yeah, so here we go. I didn't take the trade until after news. And my MT4 messed up too, gave me a bad entry. So it finally broke. I still didn't take because news is coming right now. Bam, news came. When did I enter this? And I believe see. Okay, I entered somewhere right here. And the 20 pip. And the reason I entered because when I see this on I have the inside bar candle. When I see inside bar goes up and then one immediately comes down, I know this is an entry. And especially this one came like this, so I know that's the entry for me right there.
Is that orange supposed to be inside bars?
Yeah, exactly. So when I see an inside bar engulf each other, I know it's going down. Especially when this wick came down, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take it. I took it before this candle closed. And so price was stalling right here. I'm like, man, should I get out? Because I'm like, I was on 1 minute time frame now. I'm like, it's stalling. Did like 4, tried to go down like 1, 2, like 3, 4 times. And on the 1 minute time frame, but I'm like, let me just stay in because I know it's probably gonna come back to this 3 minute zone, 3 minute POI. And that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what it did. It just came to the just came to the 3 minute POI. And then shot all the way.
So you left your stop loss open? Or
Yeah, I left it open because I just I have faith in this trade. I'm like, man, this trade is gonna go. Oh, and then also it didn't give me 2R. Oh, it did give me 2R, but I left it open though. Because I'm like, I feel like it's gonna go still. So I just set it and forget it on this one.
Yeah, but you don't want to walk around with blind faith in any one trade. It's actually kind of dangerous to do that because you'll start leaving your trade open and start breaking your rules. And once you start breaking your rules one time, it gets to be a lot easier to break your rules more times. The next thing you know, that's when you get into a string of losses.
True.
So it's more about habit. I don't have faith in any one trade, bro.
Yeah.
I never do. I always just have faith in my ability just to follow the rules. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if something else is going to be better, then something else will pop up, right? But you don't want to just blindly trust that, all right, this trade's going to go, because then now you have a totality mindset and the market could show you something different and show you that this trade is not going to work. But if you're so fixed on it's going to work, you actually give yourself no room to show anything different or be able to accept anything different. And after that, you've already lost.
Facts.
Because your mind is only focused on seeing one thing. And the market doesn't give any information. It doesn't give anything as a threat. It only shows you information. And if you can't sit there and interpret the new information that it gives, you're going to miss trend changes. You're going to miss so many different things.
Totally understand. No, I know. That was just a chance I was willing to take. I mean, I'm like, whatever. And that was a chance I wanted to take. But yeah, that's something I'll keep in mind. But this was ultimately the trade, and this is the outcome. It was pretty good. And that's pretty much my trade.
And you got in. Go back to your 3 minute time frame.
3?
Yeah, where you got in originally was more like a breakout entry. And it came back to test it, but depending on how you have your rules, you should change it. It didn't hit 3R. It didn't hit, what are your rules for break even?
2R.
So did it hit 2R at this point?
It did.
Mhm.
But I probably got in somewhere lower, but but this is where I got it. I got it after this candle, but maybe price could have, because spread. But this is where I tended to get in. So I know that's what I look for when something engulfs that one.
Mhm.
And then
But yeah, no, you don't want to get into the habit. You don't want to start breaking rules, because then it will lead to a habit of breaking rules. You'll start doing things like move your stop loss because you're so confident about the trade. And what ends up happening is the trade just comes and takes you out. You'll start doing things like entering the wrong lot size because you're trying to make back your trades. You're trying to make your losses. Then you'll take bigger losses. And you'll get so far away from just following, what's actually part of your plan, that you'll get even somewhat lost inside of some of the things that you're supposed to do within your trade strategy.
rule, but
That's where you don't want to get.
exactly.
It's small habits. Small habits lead to big things.
No. But this POI, this is a 1 minute POI. Wouldn't you say like this can be like a pullback? Like maybe from this 1 minute POI right here. This was I could have pulled this POI. And then from this perspective, then this would.
But you jump in time frames, bro.
I'm just saying, but this could though. I know.
You gotta pick one. Because if not, you're just gonna be all over the place. Because you know what? Any trade can look like anything on a certain time frame.
Oh wow, this was a 3 too.
So you gotta consider it. On one time frame, it won't look like something. On another time frame, it will. That's why you don't need a bunch of time frames. All it's going to do is further get you confused. You'd be like, well, it looks like something over here, and then it doesn't. But it's missing the context of what all this is supposed to look like anyways, or what's the benefit of it, right?
Yeah.
So why do you even go to the 1 minute time frame? What is the point of doing that? You got to answer that question first so that you know why you're doing what you're doing. So then when the information that you're taking in all has a context. Because you could jump to 30 seconds and make that look like a POI. You could jump to 5 minutes and make it look like a POI. But what is the point of finding the POI? What are you trying to find out of it? You're trying to find what's going to line up to your higher time frame intentions. That's what you trade. You don't trade 1 minute. You don't trade 3 minutes. You trade whatever your higher time frame is. That's the secret.
Mm-hmm.
The quicker you get to realizing that, the better your trading is going to get.
Got it. Yeah, I'm pretty much sold on a 3 minute.
True, then use it, but don't deviate from it. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Don't go try to go to 1 minute or try to 5. Just pick a time frame and use it. Because if not, you're gonna be confused about everything that you're seeing.
All right, well, that was a trade.
Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. 1% better every day. That's the goal, guys.
Yeah.
What are the questions y'all guys got?
What's up, Brian?
I get to read the chat. Hey, what it do? What it do?
Somebody asked the question in the chat.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Anyways, but I was gonna ask. So when price on the 15 minute, like when when price breaks structure on the 15 minute, it's typically like an impulse, and then there's like a flip zone. So so if it's going down, it's in a downtrend. It's typically like two supplies, one that was a flip zone, one that was an impulse. How do you feel about like the flip zone? Do you have any rules about like specific things you might want to see that validates the flip zone more than usual? or anything like that. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so I do have certain rules, right? And so Rod talked about it too in 2.0. So when you're looking at the zones, you may want to look for certain things. Some people look for things like liquidity. They'll say, did it use certain liquidity to be able to jump? I don't use liquidity, so I can't really explain those pieces. But I look more at the candlesticks. I look at how it breaks. I look at how strong it breaks. And I look at how quick it breaks. Those are my three things that I look for specifically. And that helps me determine if a POI is strong or not. If I don't see a strong break, then I don't use the PO. I don't use it.
Could you pull up GU real fast so I can kind of show you too what I've seen on there?
1 second. I gotta figure out where my mouse went. Oh, here it is. You said GU?
Yeah. 15-minute GU.
Let me tell this. All right.
So the sell to buy wicks right there, that was like a flip zone for me on the 15-minute. I ended up taking a buy today. I didn't sell. So but
Wait,
either way, I still was just looking at it.
where at specifically?
Right there. So the sell to buy wicks right there.
This
Go
right here?
lower. That one.
Okay,
No.
so you,
Wait, no. On the up, like the down candles, not the up candle.
this one?
You got to go to the left.
This one?
Yeah, that. To
So
that.
you use this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I pulled it from the bottom of that wick though. Yeah, right there. That's how I had it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't use sell to buy wicks because 80% of the time these zones fail. It's something it's a popular concept, but from testing it, didn't see that it truly held as something that it follows through on.
Yeah, that's just something I probably got to test out then. I wasn't considering like selling from there. I just wanted to ask you how you felt about that zone because I'm just trying to test it out still, you know?
So structurally, I see. Oh crap! What happened? Yeah. So structurally, we didn't make a BOS until from down here. So to me, this whole thing is a zone. But that's because I have a different style of pulling zones. There's 4 different styles that you can get when it comes to pulling zones. The first one is what's called pivots, and I put this in S&D resources. So there's pivot-based zones. There are single candle-based zones, which is what you're probably accustomed to. So this
that's what I'm doing.
Single candle. This would be a decisional, and then this would be single candle, and this would be an extreme. And then there is range-based zones. So this could be, sorry, we got so many. Let me get rid of the other ones first, real quick. So then you have range-based zones. And then you have, wick-based. I was like, well, I always forget this last one, which would be this wick-based zones. So I put, if you go to S&D resources, I have examples of all 4. And so I pull a different type than what most people do. Most people that you probably see within the community are going to pull either wick-based or single candle-based. And I just find those have to be a little bit too accurate to be right. So the hit rate on those tend to not work as much. But when they're right, they tend to be right, and you can get a tighter stop loss, and you can get a higher risk to reward. Sometimes I find that they're not as accurate though. That's the thing. So a lot of times you're gonna see them fail. But when it comes to
Not
selling
as
buy wicks,
accurate as in not as accurate as in what though? Like
pivots
you're
and
not
range
gonna get
based.
tapped. Like you're not gonna get tapped in. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh
Or
yeah. So I mean, like you saw, like for instance, for this wick base, you would have never been
yeah.
tapped into the zone, whereas in range base you would have.
Mhm.
So, and then the fifth type, I guess you could say, is sell to buy wicks or buy to sell wicks, but I don't even mention those because the accuracy rate is so low on those. Like you're just probably going to take more losses off with them than you would ever wins, and it's by like a landslide. Like
So when you see a flip zone, you you don't want to see sell to buy with. You don't want to see that.
yeah, I don't care about that at all. But
Okay.
every person sees the market different, right? So there's some people
Hmm.
found it, but there was somebody else in the community who did a back test of over like 100 trades, and he lost 80 of them based on sell to buy wicks and buy to sell wicks. And then in my own back testing, when I started trying to see, when I first heard about the concept years ago, and I tried to use it, and almost
Hmm.
every time I remember that I used these zones, I lost the trade. Like it was like
Oh wow.
guaranteed. So that's why I don't use it.
Could you pull that? Could you pull the range
Sure,
zone again for me real fast? The one
sure.
you consider to be a range.
Range is kind of more subjective. It comes
Hmm.
down to what you classify as a range. Range based zone, right? And so there's, you ever heard of what's it called? Rally based rally, drop based drop, rally based drop, and drop based rally.
Yeah, I've heard the term. I'm not too familiar with it though.
Cool. So this would be considered a drop, base, drop. That's where the term comes from. The drop part is where the market moves generally in one direction. The base is always a consolidation or a range. And then the final drop is the move that it makes, but more in a consistent manner. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
That's where the idea for range-based zones came from. So you're always just taking whatever is the base part of the move, and that's how you consider a move. And
So
I
when
find
you
what
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I find these to be a lot more accurate than the single candles or even the wick base, because it seems like be always where there's a drop, that's where the market, I mean, where there's a base, the market tends to consolidate more, right? So I'll give you an example. Here's a rally, here's a base, here's a rally. You pull your zone based upon this, look at where the market reacted from, and look at how
Yeah.
strong it reacted. Now, it also coincides with single candle, right? So here's a single candle
Hmm.
that you could have used as well too. So there's oftentimes a lot of overlap, but depending on how you pull single candle, sometimes you'll end up missing trades and opportunities. So here you have you have base, drop, and this came from another base. I mean, from another drop. So if you took this whole little area as a zone here, you would have caught in, and the price comes back to retest the same area. Then I'll show it to you another time. Here would be a drop, base, drop. Pull your zone here. This would have been your range based zone. Price taps into it, comes down, doesn't really come back to it. Then it does come back to it. Spend some time in there, and then it drops. See that?
Yeah, I would have got confused with that too because of that long wick right there. But you ain't pulling that because I'm guessing because that's news, right? So you ain't gonna even mess with that or something. The
You
wick.
could. You could. It just all depends on what's in your rules.
Yeah.
Um, so you could have made it like this. It would have tapped it multiple times. But both of
I
them
feel
work,
like
right?
a zone like this will confuse me though. Cause like what are you gonna look for exactly? Like with a huge zone like that? Cause I'm guessing you going to the 1 minute, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't even matter if you go to the 1 minute. What you want to know is where momentum came in the market. That's what's most important. So, what the ideology behind single candle is you're getting in at the exact the reason why that people can't with a single candle is that you're getting in at the moment where momentum entered the market and push price up. That's the ideology. Some people think that the wicks show the moment where the market actually entered in the momentum, but you have to be so accurate that you could miss a trade just because it doesn't come into this super highly accurate spot. All you're doing when you have a bigger area is just identifying the general area where the market actually comes into and saying, all right, was the entire area where the buyers decided for the market to go up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the area, the area of your zone may have you what you consider taking more trades, but you might also get into some things that you probably were missing. But the questions that you should really ask yourself are, has momentum entered the market? Because you're trading a trend trading strategy, right? So what that means is that you want to make sure that the market moves and market is moving along with you. So you just may have to make some additional criteria to make sure that you just don't hop in on everything that you see.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Brian, can you move to the right, please? To where you made the first POI? No, where was it? Yeah, right there where it says lower. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You didn't mark that top where it says lower high because this is where momentum came in at.
No, I didn't mark it because it wasn't part of a range. She was asking me about range based.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, but I can start a POI from up top where it says lower high, right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be considered a single candle one.
No, but I will still get the whole. Like I will still get everything still.
Well, it depends on what type. Well, it depends on what type you're pulling, people. I was showing him an example of range base.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just showing him pulling what I consider to be a range in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't include that. But there's, like I said, 4 different types of ways that you can pull supply and demand zones. Most people only know single candle and wick base. That's what most of the internet teaches. So what most courses are even teaching. They don't really talk about range-based zones or pivot-based zones. So depending on the style that you pull, depending on the rules on how that you pull it. Does that make sense?
Yes. And which one do you use mainly?
Pivot-based. Yeah, I only use pivot-based. I don't use the other 3.
Okay. Can you show an example? I'm sorry, I must have missed me. Can you show an example of pivot base right here on this where I did the markup?
I'm gonna let you rewatch the recordings. I showed it in the beginning, but there's also more examples. If you go to S&D resources, you can see the examples of the different zones. So you'll see it in there, and you'll see example of pivot base.
Got it.
Yep. All right, guys. I hate to run. I got to run to I got another call after this. So if I didn't get a chance to answer y'all's questions, please don't hesitate to ask within the S&D questions within Discord. This recording will be up and hopefully within the next 24 hours. But with that, guys, tomorrow and Monday are holidays observed in London and Europe, most of Europe. So volumes will be kind of slightly crazy, which means that the market will do things that you don't want to do, or it may do things excitingly what you want to do. Either way, I'm not trading. So good luck to y'all who decide to trade. Be careful in the market, as there may not be momentum in the market, but I wish y'all the best in your trading, and I will chat with y'all in Discord.